Welcome to Stub Stories. I'm Sylvia. I'm that friend that gets you into shows, yet you don't know what I do for a living.
And I'm Ricky. I'm the friend that's begging you to come to shows with me for bands you've probably never heard of. Today on the show, we have Dana Bollen from the 2 Week Notice podcast, also from Piebald. Dana, what's up? Thanks for joining us.
Yo, what up? I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. This is cool. I got to say off the bat, I found your show, Stub Stories. So way before I used to interview people on my podcast, like during like COVID or something, I would just tell stories and I just like created this segment. I called it Ticket Stub Story Time. And I have a shoebox of
Meant
like
to
all
be.
these. Yeah, that's what grabbed my attention. I was like, no fucking way. Can I swear on here? Should I not have done that? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes, please do.
I was like,
Please do.
no way. Like,
Please.
I was just like, oh my god, I have to listen to this. And I used to just like pull like the ticket stubs like from a hat or whatever from the shoebox, and I just like, oh, I remember that one. Like I would just tell the story of what I remembered from that day and that show. So you got my attention right away. And the first episode, well, I listened to like the trailer, and then I listened to the Boston Calling one,
Oh, yeah.
and that was like so cool. You never hear from people like that on a podcast, so I just really enjoyed that. And then to prep for this one, I listened to the most recent one. I forget the gentleman's name, the Big Night
Timmy.
Live guy. That was
Timmy
great.
Gorman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm on board. So I'm
That's
happy to be
awesome.
here.
Thanks.
That's great. That's amazing
yeah.
that you used to do that. That's kind of how this started as well.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like right around that same idea.
Yeah. Ricky was my street team. We probably street team for Piebald when I used to do shows at the Palladium.
Oh my, amazing.
Definitely.
I wasn't
Goes
with
back to
Piebald. Well, for me it does. Yes.
Yeah.
I was not with Piebald until like 2016. I was kind of stalking them before that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And now I play
I've done.
cowbell on the song "The Stalker," so it all comes full circle.
Yeah, that's amazing. Gosh, I guess we'll start at the beginning. I mean, I was obviously reading up on you, and it seems like you left your corporate job to jump into this business. Like, I guess take us back to that decision. Are you happy with it?
Yes, I mean I'll probably always be like sad or something, you know, because I'm an emo kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was miserable. Like, so I was. Long story short, I was working for a Panera Bread franchise in New England, and I was overseeing like 64 Panera Breads. And I did that for like a decade. It was a 6-figure gig, you know, like good money, hard to walk away from. And I don't know. I just like, I mean, I set myself up. Like, I got a couple condos that I like rent out now. And now I'm like in my parents' basement. So if I had like like a wife and kids or something, like I probably would still have that job, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, but I was pretty miserable. And an Uber driver picked me up the other day. I'm on tour right now, by the way, with A Day to Remember, the story so far, 4 years strong, and the openers split. It's like a 3-way split between Military Gun, Pain of Truth, and Scowl. So really sick tour, like really sick tour. And I am in Lynn, Massachusetts right now. I'm in my parents' basement. Hello.
Nice. I love Lynn. City of Sin. I love it.
Me too.
Yeah, I knew you were local cats just from listening to your show. And I was just like, maybe we could have done this in person, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Here we are. But like, I don't know. I'm just so happy to be home. And I just like, so I'm driving a truck for the story so far. And I dropped it off at Suffolk Downs today, which I have not been there since Warped Tour 2002.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So this is all like everything is full circle, like right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
We actually talked about that Warped Tour because that was one of mine.
Yeah.
What a lineup. Oh my God. So
Yeah,
I don't,
crazy.
but you got to keep me on track here because I can go off the rails
Hey, it's all good.
That's the best kind of shows.
sometimes. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's cool.
Did I answer your question though?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
You
Thank
did.
I don't regret it. I don't regret it either. So
How are since we're on that subject, how are the shows set up at the Suffolk Downs? Like, I haven't been since they started doing shows there again, a couple of years ago or whatever.
So what's interesting, well, they just revived it, like, I want to say last year.
Mhm.
Okay.
and it was like like Allie in the who just left, but Allie and the team over
Mhm. Yep.
at
Bowery.
Roadrunner Bowery.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is my first time like literally being on those grounds since 2002, and
Wow.
I don't even remember. Like I don't remember what that was like. But
Yeah.
today I just drove the truck. I drove in some like entrances that probably were not
No.
where I was supposed to be. I was just like driving around on the grass and shit. Like, I don't know where to go, dude. But this is cool. I was definitely here like 23 years ago, 22 years ago. So I don't know if I can answer that one though on how it's set up. There's a big stage
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
like, and then there's tents on either side for like merch and beer and food and stuff,
Yeah, I just remember for that tour. Well, there's different stages, but one of the stages, like late in the day, it was in the path of the planes, uh, like landing, and so somehow you could try to reach up, and you could feel like you could almost touch it. It was like really a weird experience.
It was just crazy to me. I'm like, this place is so weird. Like, it's like right there, like talk about location.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was like a horse track spot, which I don't think they do anymore, but I wasn't
No,
100% certain. So
no.
it's like,
Yeah.
what has been going on here for X amount of years? I don't
I think
know.
Yeah, I think they were doing like virtual, like so they would go and they would place bets on races around the world, but they didn't have any live racing.
Oh.
And we tried back in the day to do more concerts there, but then they still had that season, and we couldn't fit it in with getting the track ready for the horses. But yeah, it was the whole thing, and you have to get the neighborhood involved. There was one noise complaint. That's it. It's kind of like when we did it in Brockton. Like it's a whole thing. But
2003 Brockton Fairgrounds,
that's
yo.
it. Yeah, you know
I
what's
was at
up.
that shit, dude. But it was just crazy because like I took an Uber from Suffolk Downs to Lynn after I dropped off my truck, and I was just like, the route that the Uber driver took, right? He went, what is it, 1A, Revere Beach, Kelly's. I
Yeah.
used to work there. I worked there forever. But I was just like, I didn't realize how close Suffolk Downs was to the ocean, which is like should have been obvious because Revere is like literally a strip of ocean, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
But that's interesting to hear what you just said, Sylvia, because yeah, it's just like that space has to be utilized. It has to, like,
Yeah.
because it's so prime, and so that's good. Hopefully they keep that going. You probably already know this, but that's the only spot that the Beatles ever played in Boston was Suffolk Downs.
Yep.
Wait, really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's the only Boston
Sacred.
concert. Yep, they were
Wow.
supposed to play in Lynn at Manning Bowl, which is like my high school football field, because the Rolling Stones' first concert ever in the U.S. was at Manning Bowl in Lynn. That they started their tour, but like
What?
there were riots though. It was only a few songs, and like all of a sudden it was like raining, and there were riots, and like the Lynn police like busted out tear gas bombs. It made like world headlines. It was crazy. So the Beatles were like all set with that, and they moved it to Suffolk Downs.
That's
But like
amazing.
Aerosmith has played in like Manning Bowl, and here I am going off the rails again. So sorry. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. I've been to Lynn like a million times. I have like really great friends that live out there, and I had no idea that all that music history happened there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Yeah,
Dude.
the first the first tattoo festival was held at Suffolk Downs too. Tattoo the Planet, or is it Tattoo the
Oh,
World? It's
Tattoo
one
the
of those.
Earth.
Tattoo the Earth.
First
That was
tattoo. Like
it started there. Like the first tattoo thing actually, like convention happened in Worcester, but then the following year they're like, well, let's just do a concert and tattooing and all that stuff, and that was at Suffolk Downs.
it all
So it
goes hand
has
in
a
hand.
good history. Yeah, it's a good history besides the horses, which I'm glad they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's like weird. And there's like the
Yeah.
dog track in Seabrook.
Mhm.
It's like, what are we doing here? So I'm glad that
Right.
stuff is not a thing. You can
Yeah.
gamble in other ways, people.
Exactly.
Yeah. Keep
Right,
away from
right.
the puppies and the horses.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Exactly. That's the only pure thing we got. More pure than
Yeah.
humans, right? I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly.
But where are you folks? You folks are in like the Worcester area, right? or something?
I'm in Worcester. I'm the only one who's actually in Worcester.
All right.
I'm in Lowell.
Well,
Lowell.
nice. My first real concert ever, where I probably had tickets, was the Songus Arena, kid.
Yeah, I worked there.
Yeah.
It was the hyper extended midget tour. Weezer, Saves the Day, and Ozma in 2002. It was like February something.
Wow.
Wow.
I still have the ticket somewhere. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that was not my show. I think that was
That's
probably
amazing.
like a Clear Channel show. It sounds like because Weezer at the time was just they're still big, but that sounds like more of a bigger band than we used to do. But
What year was that?
2002.
2002.
Yeah. Like I was
Damn.
going to like VFW, like DIY shows prior to that, but that was definitely the first like real show where I had like a ticket, and like I had to like beg my mom, which is funny because I used to I think back on this, like I used to sneak out all the time. I don't know why I didn't go to more shows before because I was kind of a little shit, you know what I mean? Like I'm a good kid, but I was just, I would just whatever. I would maybe smoke weed and whatever, But like I don't know, I was just getting bad grades, so they like would like say, you're grounded, you can't go out this weekend, and I would have a weekly progress report, and I would have to, like meet certain standards in order to be allowed to go outside, which
Yeah.
didn't work because I would just sneak out. And then when like Green Day and Blink 182 did that pop disaster tour, and
Yeah.
Saves the Day was on that too, actually.
Yeah.
And I like begged them to let me go, and they said no. And I was just like, oh, okay. But like
Oh.
looking back, I'm like, why didn't I just sneak out? I was sneaking out for everything else. Like,
Yeah.
anyway.
I never really got grounded too much. Like I was like a little shit, but like I never did anything that was like that got me grounded really, except for I was grounded twice that I can remember, and one of them I couldn't go to the Palladium to see Finch and the Used with My Chemical Romance opening.
Yeah, I was at that. I still have
I was
that ticket.
so bummed because I loved Finch so much at the time, and I eventually saw all those bands. But
I want to say Further Seems Forever might have played that too.
I think they were the
Ooh.
other opener.
yeah,
Yeah, and
Chris-
I
Chris
can't
is-
remember if I think Chris was in the band, but he might have just left. I honestly don't remember. I didn't know them at that time, or like Dashboard was still kind of like really. It was before they blew up,
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I definitely remember seeing it. I saw Finch at the Palladium a few times in that era. One of them was November 1st. That's all I remember because like Halloween is my birthday. I just remember it was the day after my birthday. And like I know it was between the couple of shows that I went to at the Palladium that Finch, it was definitely with the Used, and I wanted the Movie Life was at one of them, and like Something Corporate.
Mhm.
All
Something
those, like
Corporate
that
one-
drive-through era,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that Something Corporate one might have been
Yeah.
the Newfound Glory
Yes.
tour.
Yes.
I'm
That's
sure
right.
I'm sure the flyer somewhere here. I found like these are all my old archives.
Yes. Amazing.
My old archives of flyers from that era, and I'm sure I know that Finch logo is so ingrained in my head. So is
Yes.
the Piebald logo. It's like we were just discussing that. Like the Piebald logo is one of my favorite band logos because it's
The one
so
behind me?
yeah,
Like the
it's so
letters?
great.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It's simple, but it's great. And
It's
you know
not
what's
like a
funny?
metal logo.
Yeah. Oh my, you can't even read those. I hate
That's what
those.
I'm saying.
I know.
Some of them, it's just like, what? You know what? If I can't read it, like I know I'm getting old and like my eyes are getting bad, but like, who can actually read that? Like, I'm all set.
Yeah.
No, I love that stuff
Yeah.
too, but it's annoying.
Yeah.
But I just wrapped up a tour as well. It was with Finch. A lot of
Mhm.
full circle stuff, I guess, as you get older. But it was Bayside, Finch, Armor for Sleep,
Oh yeah,
and this newer band, Winona Fighter, which is an awesome name, and
that's awesome.
and yeah, this like female fronted band. They were like so rad. It was cool. It was a special tour,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. How all right, so you said you stalked Piebald and then you eventually found your way into the camp. How'd that go?
All right. Well, how'd it go? I mean, it went well.
Well,
Well, yeah, it obviously
considering
worked.
where I'm at. Now,
Thanks, Ricky.
No, I know what you say. You mean like how to go down, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to be like brief with it. But so I told you about the corporate background, and at the time, so I left that corporate job in 2019, I want to say. But the first time I showed up to a Piebald show with a cowbell was in 2016. And so Piebald, they like kind of went on a hiatus from like 08-ish to 2016.
Yeah.
And when they got back together, it was a big deal. And it's funny because that band's always been ahead of their time, if you think about it. Because like
Yep.
if they didn't get back together then and they did now, they'd be like playing these like crazy arenas, I feel like, with like these crazy tours. But it's kind of funny. But so back before they split in the mid 2000s, their tour manager, which is funny, their tour manager at the time would always come out during the stalker and play the cowbell. And like when they got back together in 2016, there was no one doing that. And like I was like, I want to do that, And I should say, back before, there was a certain point where they were like pulling people up from the crowd at times to like play the cowbell. And my friend got pulled up once, like while I was there with him. And then Luke, the drummer, was like, next time, like after the show, we were talking to him. He's like, next time we're going to get you up there, buddy. And then they like broke up. So maybe there's something really deep there within me, but who knows? But that's for like probably a psychiatrist session or something.
But it's Friday.
Yeah.
So this is our sessions.
Yes, I'll take it. So so that's hilarious. But yeah, so I don't know. They played a run of East Coast dates in 2016, and
was that the Royale when they?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I was there.
Yeah, I was thinking like when I listened to your show, I'm like, I was at some of the shows you actually mentioned. I'm like, I was at that one. I was at that one. Or it's just like we must have crossed paths so many times, who knows? Maybe I was in line behind you, like going to the bathroom or something, who knows, or whatever, But like, so
Ricky, is that you?
It's me.
So after that East Coast run, after the Royale shows, they did like the next month they had a run on the West Coast with the band Limbeck. I don't know if you know them. Shout out Limbeck. Yeah, another underrated band. But
yeah.
So like, I don't know. I just like flew out there with a cowbell, and I was like, fuck it, dude. I was definitely feeling like insecure about it. I remember, so I only was like had a carry-on with me going through the airport, and I wish I took a video with my phone, but it was like, airport security is kind of serious, but I was just like I saw the X-ray of the bag, the thing took up half my fucking suitcase. It was a pretty big cowbell, I guess. And like, they were like, sir, could you just like stand over there 1 second, please? And like, they had to like, they were like, what is that thing? It's like this big, it's like made of like steel. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, they were like, sir, what's in your bag? Like, what is I was just like, oh, it's a cowbell. I'm a musician.
Well, you are technically.
Yeah, I'm a percussionist. That's right.
There you go.
Nice.
So, but they like took the cowbell out, and I was just like, yeah, I wish I had a video of that, or at least a picture of that X-ray. But yeah, and then I showed up, and like, I don't know, I showed up to their sound check in LA with my cowbell and like a 12-pack of PBR, and like the rest is kind of history. Like they eventually made me merch guy, and then we had a full US with Dashboard Confessional. They asked me to be tour manager, and I was just like, I've never done that, but I was managing all these Panera Breads, it's just like, like what an honor. So yeah, that's like probably the quickest, most thorough version I could tell of that how that happened.
That was the Dashboard tour that got like canceled from COVID, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
no.
well, before the shutdown, this was in February of 2020 when we were out with them, and he had to cancel 3 shows. He got super, super sick. Like had a fever of like 104, and he couldn't even fly. So like the rest of the band had to like take the bus, and he had to like cancel a few Pacific Northwest dates. And then we like met him, and like we met back up with them in like Utah, I want to say. And but I don't know, he might have had COVID, but this was before like, the coronavirus was what it became. It was like kind of like on the news, and then all of a sudden like the world shut down. We're like, oh shit. But yeah, we just barely got through that tour because the Get Up Kids were taking over the Piebald spot after us, They were
Yeah, I
doing
remember
half
it
a
was
tour.
split because I was so
Mhm.
I mean, the Get Up Kids are like my favorite band ever, but I
So
was so
good.
jealous because I was like, man, it would have been sick to have like Piebald and the Get Up Kids on this for those Boston shows. But
Clay's one of the producers. So Clay and Fabio are the producers on this, and they keep us in line. And
Dude,
and
I'm
that's that.
impressed.
We try.
My show is just me, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Neither do we.
I was,
Neither do-
yeah. Well, how did you get?
We're flying by
20
the seat of our pants here.
I noticed you got like 20,000 something Instagram followers. I'm like, how do they do that?
No,
You
we
know?
get a lot of sharing from Bright Musical, MGM, House of Blues, and there was a little slight following even before we started up the account again because I like you had seen this like this Stub Stories account being out there, and we were just talking about we just did a wrap up episode anyway. We found Ricky and we didn't realize we had a connection to Ricky, or I had a connection to Ricky, and we're like, let's do this proper Stub Stories thing. So yeah.
He was on your street team, right?
I
Yep.
was back
Yeah.
in the day.
I listened.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I found
That's
those
awesome.
emails. Found
love
those
that.
emails on my AOL from his Yahoo and his
That's so
Hotmail.
cool. I also
It's
saw
all in
like
our archive.
I've heard you mention Sticks and Stones Fest.
Yeah.
So we were definitely at the same show then. That was
Oh,
Newfound
yeah.
Glory, 4 Year Strong, Bayside, The Movie Life, Piebald, A Loss for Words, and Be Well. I'm actually going to see tonight. I'm going to take an Uber after 4 Year Strong set
Yeah.
over to the Bright Music Hall to see I Am the Avalanche and Be Well.
I'll be
That'd
there.
sick. You're gonna be
Can you
dude.
I'll be there.
Oh
for
man,
sure.
we gotta like
get
link up.
meet.
We
Yeah,
need
totally.
some selfies, some photos.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Just
all right,
going
dude.
into
Content.
Do you edit this?
signature. Yes.
Might
Yes.
wanna-
We'll link up. We'll link up. It'll be fine.
Not
You're
at all.
like, Dana, what's your number for anybody
Yeah.
out there? Who, like,
978 34.
no, I don't think it's
781,
978. No, I was gonna say
no.
he's not
that's right.
978.
No,
That's
no,
you.
that's hilarious. All right, I will shut up and let you get your show back on track now. Go ahead.
No, I mean, we're talking about Piebald and artists like that, but is there one artist besides that you would like to work with?
Oh,
Are you stalking somebody else now?
no, I'm too busy. Honestly, I've
I
been on
know.
the road since March, like 4 back to back, like, and I get like so burnt out sometimes, and like
Mhm.
even last night, just sleeping in my bed, it's just like I can't. I'm not gonna get up. I quit the tour right now. Like, I'm done. It's like I shouldn't have even slept here. But no, to answer your question, like I don't know. I mean, like Weezer has always been a favorite band, but I don't think I would vibe with those guys. I don't think they would like me. I'd probably be too annoying for them, So, I mean, Piebald was absolutely my favorite band in the world. They still are. So,
Yep.
my dream has definitely already come true there, and it has led to working with all these other bands. And I'm as corny as it sounds, I'm like so grateful. I mean, I don't even do anything that cool. I sell merch a lot, and I can drive a box truck. I don't have my CDL, but I can drive the other box trucks that are just below the CDL requirements, and that's it. Like, I'm not that cool, and I really just lay low. Like, I don't, because who wants a truck driver to like linger? Like, nobody, literally nobody. I want to be rehired, so I just try to stay like out of the way. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
but you
know
mentioned you had mentioned like through Piebald, then you met all these other bands, and that's exactly how the music business works. It's not, I mean, now they have like these apps where you can find gigs. There's actually an app called Gigs, which I think is pretty rad because it's somebody
Wow.
in the industry that created it. Anyway, like free shout out to Gigs. Then get them as a sponsor. But but it's like it's your friends like telling you, hey, this is happening, and you would be good for this, or you hear about it while you're on another tour, or that's just how it works. There's no resumes going around. I mean, very few, I think.
No, 100%. You're right. It's who you know, and not even this industry. I think that's almost everything in life. Half the bat. Like, to me, it's like who you know, and working hard and being likable and just like being honest. That's it. to me, I mean, having skills is definitely helpful if you have a particular skill, of course.
Yeah.
But like, you can learn those skills, and it's funny you bring that up. I didn't know about gigs. I'm gonna download that as soon as
Yeah.
we wrap this up. But if you know about BobNet, that's like
Oh, yes.
shout out
Yep.
BobNet. So
Yep.
when I was on that tour with Dashboard and Piebald, I had just left my corporate gig as we talked about, but then like I didn't have any plans after that. I didn't know what I was going to do, so I went to Dashboard's tour manager. It's this guy, legend. Okay, first of all, his name, Jack Funk.
Oof.
What?
It's like
love it.
that can't be his real name. It's none of my business either. Okay, right.
I
Yeah.
love that.
But like, and he's like this old school cat. Like he tour managed like Rush back in the day. I heard a
Wow.
rumor that he dated Stevie Nicks. I cannot confirm it, but like this guy is, you just see the legend on his face. And I just like, when we would cross paths every day, it's just like, Mr. Funk, hello, sir. Like give him the salute. like I love this man, and I just tried to like, kind of watch him and learned a lot from him. And on the last day, I was just like, hey, Mr. Funk, like I want to, I want to like keep doing this, but Piebald's not full time. What can I, any advice for me, sir? And he told me about BobNet, and
Yep.
BobNet it's basically like the Craigslist job section ad, but just for roadies, for bus drivers, for guitar techs, for lighting people, for merch people, for, whatever, behind the scenes. So, and that was how I got the gig. My first box truck gig was with The Story So Far 2
Wow.
years ago. It was, and it was random because they don't even say, like, it could be, Ricky Martin. It could be, you never know, because like they keep it like confidential until you actually go through the application process. And what's funny about it is like I didn't apply to anything for like a couple of years, and then I just went on there randomly, and I saw this box truck. It was just like it was like one sentence, like looking for a box truck driver for full US tour on these dates. And something, I don't know if I believe it meant to be, but something prompted me to submit for that. And I did. And I got a call back, and I was like, hello. It was just like, hey, this is Dan Rose, tour manager for The Story So Far. And I was like, no fucking way. Like, he was just like, yeah, I came across your application. Honestly, like I hated BobNet. I was about to give up, but I'm a Boston kid, and I saw Kelly's roast beef on your application and Piebald. He's like, I should call this guy. And he called, and like that tour, I took the gig, and that was The Story So Far, Joyce Manor, who is now my favorite band from that tour.
So good.
Oh my God, they're the best. Mom Jeans and Microwave.
Ooh.
Like,
Ooh,
what?
Mom Jeans.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
that is the best 4-band bill I
Yep.
could build, possibly. I mean,
You're the reason I actually have heard of Microwave. I like following like the podcast socials and stuff.
Oh, no
And
way.
like you posted about Microwave so much.
They're
And then
so
one of my
good.
other buddies was like, dude, fucking listen to this band. Like,
Yeah. All those bands I just named, they're all
Yeah.
so good.
all
But-
great.
But so the merch guy on The Story, I was driving a merch truck for Story So Far, and the actual merch guy, he was on the bus. Shout out my dude Dom. He was doing merch for Story, but he also is like Baysides. He's like to Bayside, like I am to Piebald, kind of like that's his like. Those
That's
are
like
his boys.
main. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I did that tour, and then I don't know, maybe a year later, he called me in the middle of a Bayside tour. It's Bayside, IAmTheAvalanche in Coyo last
Nice.
winter. I think last winter. Anyway, he was just like, yo, we're selling merch like crazy right now. We need a box truck driver. You want to like hop on this tour like tomorrow? And I was like, yup. And I did. And then, all right, get this. So Bayside's tour manager / front of house sound guy, shout out Matt Wilson, also happens to do those jobs for the Front Bottoms and Thrice and Motion City Soundtrack and the Get Up Kids.
Wow.
And he's Matt Pryor's like day-to-day manager, and he worked with Say Anything for like 10 years. Like he's worked with everyone, and I don't know, he really liked me. So that like led, so he just, every tour he does, he brings me with him
That's
to
awesome.
to drive trucks and sell merch and stuff. So going back to your point, Sylvia, on like who I mean, it's everything, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
never burn those bridges. You know, like our last episode, I was like, sometimes I want to burn down the whole city because you just like this person's just infuriating, but you can't. So you got to have that person that you can vent to, so you don't burn that bridge. Because I've seen, being in this industry so long, like over 25, maybe closer to 30 years. You're every everybody kind of grew up in the business together. Like I went to Zach Bryan the other night and I ran into Dennis O'Heron. He used to be the marketing guy at Jammin' and Kiss, and now he's like head of programming for iHeart, like nationally.
Wow.
And it's just like,
Wow.
you don't know like where people end up. And I'm like, I'm Sylvia. He's like, I know who you are. And I was just like, okay, sorry. And his daughter's working for VIP Nation. So it's like it continues. So it's like that group just keeps getting bigger. So yeah, it's all about your reputation too. Because if you're a jerk, then they're going to be like, yeah. I always laugh with Margot at Boston Calling. She was my rep at FNX back in the day and for the Warped Tour and things like that. And one time she got my ad schedule wrong and I was sort of mean to her. And we've become really good friends. But I was just like, man, I'm so sorry. I was just not having that, a good day. And I was yelling at you and you didn't just really deserve it. It wasn't your fault, really. But
Yeah,
anyway.
the fact that you can like look back, or that you did look back and be like, maybe I was a jerk. That a lot of people don't even do that.
Mhm.
So that says a lot about you, I think. And that's like, because everyone's human. We all like can get stressed out and maybe like act in a way that we don't want to.
Mhm.
But if you reflect on it, I think that's more than half the battle. So
Yep. Yeah. As you know, it's all about pivoting too, because everything changes within. Like everything's fine, everything's going great, and
Oh
then
my
boom,
God.
there's like an emergency that you have to.
That's so fun. Every time I think, oh, this is an easy drive. It's only like 2 hours tonight, like versus, driving from Salt Lake to Denver through the Rockies. I'm just like, that's when shit will go wrong or something.
Yep.
You're right.
Yep. Ricky's been listening to your podcast a lot. He was telling us about some of his favorite episodes.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, dude, you gotta, what do you like?
Dude,
what don't you like?
Having Matt Pryor on.
Yeah.
Which one?
the
The
best.
recent one?
The book one. I listened to both,
okay.
but the book one was great because, like, I don't know, I'm kind of obsessed with the Get Up Kids. So the fact that he's like doing a book, but also like doing the press tour as if it's like a new record, was kind of my favorite thing.
It's brilliant. And first of all, thank you for listening. That really means the world to me. And you know how much it means too. Now that you folks are doing this, so like, it's not easy. It's a grind. And you put so much love into it. But the first time I interviewed him, I didn't know what I was doing. I was very new, and I think you can hear the difference in whether it's the editing or the interviewing and stuff. But I will say that Matt Pryor episode that I just did recently, I don't know if I got more messages than any, because he's tough. Like, he can come off a little like standoffish, not in a bad way. It's just his personality. Like, kind of like you're just questioning, like, does this guy does he
hate me?
Like, yeah, exactly. And that's just like, his personality. But like, I think I had people message me like saying like, that's the best Matt Pryor interview I ever like heard. And I'm just like, wow, that gives me confidence, because he can be a little bit of he makes his rounds on the podcast circuit. And so for people who listen to those, and to say something like that happened with Jim Ward too. That was another one that, I don't know, I just vibed with him. But thank you so much.
No, dude. That one, Mike Poorman was awesome. It's so cool hearing about like his life outside of playing the drums.
I love him so much. And I just did a tour. Mike Poorman is the drummer of Hot Rod Circuit, for those who don't know, and what a legendary band. But he also like drum techs for Billie Eilish. So this dude tours the world. And he's also like drum tech for like Thrice and Andrew McMahon and stuff. And I did a quick run with Hot Rod Circuit in January, and what an honor. Like, I didn't even care if I was making money, like, because it was like smaller shows than like what I'm doing now or whatever, but I didn't care. I was just like, I just want to be a part of this. Because like they're like a piebald, like what a they're a band's band. Just what a special band, you know.
Everybody that I know that's either in that industry or like a fan of Hot Rod says the same thing, where they're like, yeah, that's a band's band. Like they're the band that every single band loves.
Have you ever listened? You must have, as a big fan, the Vagrant podcast that Matt Pryor hosted.
Yeah, I loved.
It's my
that
favorite
series.
podcast. It's my favorite. I still
It
listen
was
to
so
like
good.
I've listened to like some of the episodes, a lot of them, multiple times when I'm on the road, just like at night. And
Yeah.
like, and to your point, what Matt Pryor says, because there's a Hot Rod Circuit episode in there,
Yeah.
and he's like, they were everyone's favorite people, and favorite band, like the hardest, like partiers, the coolest cats, and just the best guys, and they made like everyone's favorite songs. And
I
and
remember
it's just like, yeah,
they opened. So the first like big like arena show I went to was the Newfound Glory Good Charlotte co-headliner, and they played the DCU Center. And
dude, I was there. Les and Jake played.
yeah, Les and Jake played
The
but
Honda Civic something.
Honda Civic Tour.
Yeah.
But Hot Rod played first.
Yep.
And I remember, I'll never forget that tour being announced, because the West Coast got the Movie Life as like the main opener, or the first opener, and the East Coast got Hot Rod, and I was so bummed because the Movie Life is like probably my favorite band of all time.
Oh, Vinny's the best.
And I'll never forget when Hot Rod came out and started playing, I was like, wait, this isn't that bad. And I just became like obsessed with that band. It was one of those times where like I didn't go into a show knowing the whole bill, but I left being a humongous fan of a band. It was great.
Dude, that's what it's all about. You know, that's why, I mean, you can't always, especially if you're working like, 9 to 5 or whatever, like you can't always make the opener.
Yeah.
And there have been many times where I call the venue and be like, yo, what time is Saves the Day on? 9:30. All right. And that's when I'm showing up, like 9:31. You know what I mean? But if I can, especially since I started working these shows, it's just, you really see like, it's like microwave opening. It's just like, they're just as good as any band that's playing, and everyone should be here right now, So that's a great story. I love that.
That's the best. And then, when you interviewed Cyrus too, I think the Cyrus Beluki interview is the one that like put you on my radar.
Cool. Yeah.
So,
cool. that was really like helpful, because sometimes the bands won't like reshare it, which is, I understand. Like, I'm just happy they gave me the time in the first place, right?
Yeah.
But and like, there's at least 4 people who are involved with that Instagram. At first, I'd be like, damn, they won't share it like with that, but sometimes a band will go above and beyond. Like, he shared that on, like, he did a story post, a grid post on his Twitter, their Facebook.
Yeah.
And for Newfound Glory, I mean, obviously they're one of the biggest bands to come out of this scene. That was a big episode for me. I was very grateful for that. And Cyrus is like a sweetheart. And those guys they're so good to Piebald. They love Piebald. And like back in like 1999, obviously before I was with Piebald, like Saves the Day and Piebald were touring, and they took Newfound out. So those guys will throw us a bone, when they can, like Sticks and Stones Fest or something like that. So.
Yeah. Damn, that would have been a sick tour to go to. Piebald Saves the Day in Newfound Glory.
In 1999, imagine.
Sign
right?
me up.
So take my money. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
What was the first Piebald show you ever went to? Ricky or Dana?
Ricky, you go first. I got to think.
So my first time seeing Piebald was 2002 at Skatefest. I think or 2003. No,
it was 2003. 2002 is the one I went to. I mean, that's
okay.
That was
Yeah,
the
then it was 2000.
We had the argument about because
it was definitely 2003.
Yeah.
So I had seen them before at like they used to do these holiday shows at Andover Town Hall, and they called the Old Town Hall. I still have like the shirt, and it was Piebald and Cave-In, who is
Cave-In,
another just like legendary scene band. I don't know the first one I went to. I really don't know like what year. I did get on the Piebald train like kind of late. It was after this record came out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like I want to say it might have been like so their next record was All Ears, All Eyes, All the Time. Yeah. I think it was that album cycle for sure. And I I honestly don't remember what show, which is kind of out of character for me because I usually remember, but I don't know. My brain's getting old. But I do remember like when at first I didn't like dive right into them, even after seeing them a couple random local shows. It was like later they did a tour. It was Say Anything, Me Without You, and
Me
Piebald.
Without You.
Oh,
Oh my God, what a band! Me Without You. Oh.
Mhm.
I had Mike Weiss on
All
the
one
podcast.
word.
That was
yeah.
with a capital Y.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that was a big episode for me. They have like a cult following, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But and they're not a band anymore, so I don't think any of them are gonna do interviews. They're like, you know, like kind of like weird, you know, and lovable. But it was that tour like kind of made that, and I had friends. I used to go to summer camp like as a camper, and then I became a counselor in training, and then a counselor at Camp Rotary in Boxford, Mass. Shout out. But like I loved this place, and I had these friends there that like loved Piebald, so we would listen, like share music and like trade headphones and our Discmans and stuff, and that was I think when I like really fell in love with Piebald, even though it was like a little bit late, quote unquote, and it was around. I think the next time I saw them after like I really got it would have been that Say Anything tour, and
Mhm.
I think I was hooked from then on. It was around that time.
Yeah. The first time I saw them was also the first time I saw Newfound Glory. And that was like in 2000 at the Palladium. So it was them, Sheila Divine, Saves the
Wow,
Day,
Wow.
and Newfound Glory. I
amazing.
think Piebald was like second in the lineup.
Wow.
So yeah, it's wild. And it was like it was one of the first shows I worked with mass concerts back then. So it's quite the history going back. And then I was doing the deep dive of like what was the first show that Piebald played, and I don't know, by my research, because I'm freaking Nancy Drew over here, was it was the Legion in Haverhill or something in 1995, and then I saw the Andover shows that you mentioned. There was a ton of those, and I'm like, man, they were so close to me, like Haverhill, Andover. It's like right up the road, and I had to go to Worcester to see my first one.
Did you ever go to the Red Barn in Andover? Because that's like a legendary venue that Piebald, Cave In, Converge all played at all the time. Because Piebald and Converge are from Andover, Cave In and like 10-Yard Fight are from Methuen, next town over.
Fight.
Yeah, I've had John LaCroix on the podcast. Fun. If you want to laugh, listen to that episode because that dude is.
Love it.
Oh my God, he had me crying laughing. But yeah, there's like I never went there either, but I always hear these stories from these guys, and I'm just like, oh my God, like wow,
Yeah.
you know, some
When
legendary stuff.
Yeah, when you think of concert venues, I don't think of Andover.
Yeah, no.
I just think rich people. You don't 100%. Go there.
So did I, and I went to Camp Rotary in Boxford. It was all these rich kids from Andover. I'm like, fuck Andover, you know? But those kids loved Piebald.
That's awesome. They were ahead of their time.
That's right. That's hilarious. Nice callback there. I like that.
We can't have people hating us. Jesus.
I went to art school with John LaCroix and Anthony from 10-Yard Fight. Like John and I share a birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
So LaCroix. That dude's wild, man.
Yeah. I mean, I remember. I literally. This is like a rare, like deep memory. I'm just remembering now. I remember them talking about forming the band, like in our like art history class or whatever. Wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So do you know like Jake Brennan too?
Yeah. I know of him.
Yeah.
That name sounds super familiar.
So he hosts for a minute, it was one of the biggest podcasts in the world, Disgraceland.
Yeah.
But he also was a singer of this hardcore band. They're from what's that town? Not Canton? Not Canton. It's in Central Mass near Worcester. I'll think of it. But he was a singer of the band Cast Iron Hike, who was they were on Victory Records. They only did one.
Was it Clinton?
Clinton, thank you.
Yeah.
Clinton, Mass, Route 2 kid.
Oh, and I grew up like the next town over from Clinton.
So, but like I had Jake Brennan on my podcast a while back, and he told the story of like being at the kitchen table in someone's apartment when 10-Yard Fight was formed. Like they were talking about it and stuff. Wow. And and I mean, there's a whole different rabbit hole that could be
Yeah.
dove
Yeah.
into with the Yankee Suck T-shirts and everything, like
Oh yeah.
and just the Boston scene back then. I love this stuff. So
Early '90s. That's where I
Dude.
live.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's so
I did not, and I did
Yeah.
not know that about Jake. I mean, he's like, to me, when I look at podcasts, he's the guy. I mean, he has
Oh,
that
yeah.
deal with Amazon. Like he has this whole company. Was it Double
Mhm.
Elvis? Like it's,
I actually
the man.
I was
They're
interviewed
crushing it.
for a job with them. They had a show under his Double Elvis umbrella called Lust for Live a few years ago,
Oh, that's cool.
and it was basically just like hosting a show and talking about all the events that are happening in Boston. And I came down to the final two,
Mm.
and it came down to me and this rapper from Boston. Oh, what is his name? He's great. He got the job. I can't think of his name. They basically came back to me. They were like, all right, we went with this guy because, he's got like his own studio. And I was like, I can't get mad at that. I'm just honored that like
Yeah.
I even
Yeah.
got that far. It gave me a lot of confidence, to be honest. But
Was
The
that
rapper
Boston?
was Cliff Notes, by the way.
Cliff
Cliff
Notes.
Notes.
Oh,
That's
Cliff
what it was.
Notes.
Thank you
So
so
good.
much. I was
feel like
really
he played
hoping.
Warped Tour too. Like I know that
Dude,
name.
he's so good. He's like
Yeah.
great. And like, yeah, they were like, I don't know, they were trying to let me down easy. They're like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe I made it this far. And I
Yeah.
was even back then.
That guy kind of rules too. He's pretty awesome.
I met
Yeah.
him. I met him that day at Boston Calling. He was like such a sweetheart. Yeah. I'm like,
Was that the Boston Calling you guys played?
no. This would have been maybe not the next year. It was the year Metallica played.
Oh,
Okay,
I want to
yeah.
say, I'm
Couple
pretty
years
sure.
ago.
Because like I got hired to like work, and then like they didn't need me, and I was like, can I still get like just a wristband? And they said yes. I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome.
Like they didn't need me at all. They're like, yeah, come hang out. I was like, all right, and so I'm pretty sure it was that year.
Were you with Piebald when they played that Boston Calling? 20
Yeah,
whatever
right
year
on
that
my
was?
refrigerator right now. I'm looking at it. I'm pointing and looking over at it. This is not a video podcast, but I have like pictures on my fridge of me next to Travis. I'm playing the cowbell, and
That's
I'm
awesome.
wearing my favorite T-shirt I have, which is just like the Weezer Blue Album T-shirt,
Oh,
like
yeah.
T-shirt form, and because Weezer was playing that day, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I cannot believe I'm technically opening for Weezer right now.
That was somehow, which I don't understand because I loved Weezer when I was younger. That was the first time I ever saw Weezer was that weekend.
Wow.
And they were great. I've seen them like a couple times since then, but like, yeah, I just never went out of my way to see them when I was younger, and they happened to be playing, and I was there just the whole weekend, kind of hanging out, and it was amazing. But then I went to the after party show that you guys did, the Sinclair one.
Oh my god, that was like, dude, that set started like at like midnight.
Yeah, it was
And
so
then-
late.
And then, the sun was definitely still up when we played Boston Calling the next day. I just
Yeah.
that's what stands out the most. But I just remember those dudes like not being stoked. We're getting old.
Yeah.
And we were stoked, but like not being stoked on like, what time do we play at?
Yeah, it was like an afternoon thing because I remember getting there and like maybe even eating like lunch while like hanging out watching Piebald.
Well, that was pretty crazy. And I'm getting goosebumps as I say this. I was just so happy for them. Like, forget me. Like, I don't matter in that moment, but for them coming up in Boston, and Converge played the same stage right before them.
Yeah.
So like just what we were talking about, the Red Barn in Andover or whatever, like 20 something years later, playing the main stage, like, opening for Tool. They were a
So
few acts
insane.
later. And
Mhm.
one of the pictures I have on my fridge is like from standing behind Luke, who plays drums, standing like someone took it, this dude Ben, on the drum riser, looking out, and that was right when people started to really fill in, like when we started the set, and even when Converge played. It was earlier in the day, but like by the end of the set, it really filled in, and they still had the Ferris wheel like right there.
Yeah.
And it's just the coolest picture. Like, it's really, really just so full. And that has to be, I can't speak for them, but I'm sure they would agree that was like a top like career highlight. Yeah, that was a special gig.
Yeah. Piebald is has always been special to me because their agent, Matt Galley,
Nice.
is he's he used to be the intern, then he was the co-founder of the Kenmore agency, went out to work with Andrew Ellis, then UTA, now he's with CAA. He's like 40 under 40, but now he's not, he's over 40 like us. But
Yeah.
but this kid, like that's where that was one of his earliest signings was Piebald, Mike Hem, Taking Back Sunday. Like that was that era.
So
And
Piebald was his first client.
yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Yep.
And now he's booking, Mike Hem in like arenas, or like he had like Bruno Mars and Janet Jackson. And
Yeah.
like,
he's just in Photo
crazy.
Finish Records.
Yeah.
And then other companies hired him to do A&R. I always said that as a kid, like he had that, he knew how to find those bands. He was just riding that wave. Like I remember with the Warped Tour, Kevin Lyman's like, who the fuck is this guy? That he was like, he stood up to Kevin Lyman, and I was just like, that's Matt from our office.
That's funny.
But he would fight you over his bands, and that's how passionate he still is. Like he
Amazing.
doesn't have to, and he just keeps going after it. I mean, look at Bleachers. Like he's just in that whole circle. I call it the Taylor Swift circle, right?
Right.
Like, and it's because of these bands that are, writing these songs with her. It's like nuts.
Kevin Lyman to my podcast.
Oh, he's the
Oh,
best.
yeah.
I got to get the shout outs in when I can. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. All the
plugs,
time.
I should say.
He
Yeah,
still
that
has
was
AOL email address.
Sounds about right.
Mm.
don't
I
remember,
still
but
have mine.
That's hilarious. But
I
yeah,
wish I
Galley's
saw
the man. He still always takes very, very good care of the bald.
The bald.
Amazing. So you said you're out
Cool.
on the 4 year strong A Day to Remember Stories So Far tour right now.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Nice.
it's a really special tour. I've never done this is the biggest tour I've ever done as far as like venues, I've never done a shed tour or a pavilion.
I was gonna say, yeah,
tour.
it's mostly like sheds and arenas, right?
Dude, the other day, the last show before this, yesterday was a day off. So 2 nights ago, we were at the Prudential in Newark, New Jersey,
Yeah.
and I'm looking up, and there's Stanley Cup banners. This is where
Yeah.
the
The
Devils play.
Yeah.
I was like,
Mhm.
what? Even for me, just as like a, truck driver, I'm just like, I never would have imagined I'm working on tour with a band playing here. Like, holy shit, that's so cool.
So crazy.
I just kept looking
Yeah.
up. I was looking up or looking around just as much as I was looking at the stage. I was like, wow, it's just like, this is so sick. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that's great
awesome.
that you take you take the time to appreciate those moments, because sometimes I think back when I was going through like going promote these shows and things like that, you're just so in that moment that you don't take that minute to be like looking up, like look around you, enjoy it, and
Well,
then you look back.
You've been in it for so long. It's easy to get lost in that. So I'm the guy who left the corporate world to do this, and that was just to work with Piebald. I didn't know I was gonna, start working with all these other bands that I love too. So I never take that for granted. But I didn't aspire to be a truck driver at all. Like I didn't want to drive a box truck. I am a good driver, sure. I'm a great driver, but like, I've been very lucky to be connected with bands that I love too. Like, I mean, if I could see myself taking a gig with someone who I don't know or am not necessarily a fan of, going into it, but just to get through. But I also got lucky timing wise, because at first I thought I was screwed. I'm like, oh, I try to get into this touring world, and then the world shuts down. Like,
Yeah.
good job, Dana, you idiot. Because right, at that time, everyone at Panera was like, oh, you're all working from home now. I was like, fuck. Oh, come on, man. I would have kept doing that. So but it's kind of bounced back in a big way, where it's just like everyone's on tour, like everyone. And I was offered the last Alkaline Trio tour, and I had to turn it down because I was committed to a different tour. And also there was talk of doing the Motion City tour, which was at the same time as the tour I'm doing now. So I was like, had to, but so that's not a bad problem to have. It's just like, man, but I don't know how long this is going to last. So, but yeah, I am, I will say though, I can get like a little cranky at times, when you're in it and you're having a rough day and life happens and it's just like, I want to go home. I want to sleep in my bed. Like, it's
week
tough.
4 of 6.
That's that.
That's the rough one.
That's like the point of no return right there. That's when shit gets weird, brother. Yeah. but to be honest though, like I said, I've literally been out since March, back to back to back to back. So I'm like in month 4 of 6, and I'm just like, it's. I can't complain though, because people would kill to do this, even if it's just driving a truck. And like, I'm also trying to master the art of the marathon versus the sprint.
Yeah.
And I'm on this tour, I'm just driving the truck, which is helpful. On the last 3 tours, I'm also selling merch every other night. So that's like 6 p.m. to midnight.
Oh.
And it's exhausting. It like you're talking to thousands of people, like, and that's 6 hours I could be sleeping or just chilling or like whatever. So I'm, that's a little tangent there, but this tour I'm figuring out how to. I feel like I'm leveling up on how to just like not burn out kind of thing. Trying to.
Yeah. Do you have time off coming up, or are you booked again through the fall?
Great question, Ricky. So at the moment, when this tour ends, like 2 days later, there's that boat show, The Movie Life with Travis from Piebald. That's a little one-off there. I'm going to go to that and sell merch from my boy, Travis Shettle.
Nice.
And then I think I have August off, which unless some crazy gig comes up like that I cannot say no to, which seems to keep happening, I want to take that off and like really catch up with the podcast and just like chill and enjoy summer. And also I pick up a lot of like merch gigs in between, like the one-off merch gigs.
Yeah.
I'll go to, MGM Music Hall and like sell merch or House of Blues or whatever. So I pick those up when I can to help keep things whole financially. And then in the fall, the Front Bottoms, like pretty much September, almost to the end of the year, they just announced a pretty sick tour. And in between that or in the middle of that, Piebald has a gig. We're playing the real When We Were Young Fest. No offense to When We Were Young. I love When We Were Young. But no, they're playing like the Best Friends Forever in Vegas, which is like, all the like phase 1 emo bands, like the real, the OG.
That lineup is so sick.
It's insane. But then there's also like a bunch of like newer bands like Mannequin Pussy and Drug Church and Fiddlehead and stuff like that. It's like a really sick festival. So shout out
Fabio.
Best Friends Forever in Vegas.
That was a trigger word for Fabio.
Yep,
Mannequin
there's
Pussy.
another. Yep, there's another one.
What I do?
Which one?
What happened?
Fabio's
I
not
have
of this world.
No, this is not necessarily my genre, and so every once in a while, like I hear like these really interesting band names that
Mannequin
like
Pussy?
like,
Was that it?
Oh,
Yeah.
there you
Yeah.
go.
I thought I said a bad word for that. Like that's what I thought.
Well,
To
You can
Fabio
cut
it
that-
is.
Cut it out, whatever
No.
you need to.
No.
Great band.
No, it's staying
They're
in.
yeah, excellent.
no, it's staying in.
Yeah, but
I'm
so
actually looking them up right now. I'm like, oh,
they're incredible. I've had
there's a word I've never typed into my search browser.
Yeah, good luck with your new algorithms, bro.
Oh no.
The government's outside your window. No, no, no.
Let's
So
see. Okay.
Piebald has that October gig, and there are a couple. When's this coming out? I don't know when, because there's other shows. I don't know if I can. That aren't announced yet.
It's
Not coming
probably
out
September.
until the fall. Yeah.
The fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, it should be announced by then. I don't know for sure. So if
Yep.
you can cut it out, if not, if that's cool.
Okay.
Okay, so Piebald is playing Best Friends Forever in Las Vegas in October, and we're doing a couple shows out in California with Hot Rod Circuit
Hell yeah.
around that festival, because Hot Rod Circuit's playing the festival as well. So I can't wait for that. And we always do like stuff in December, so I imagine there will be some more Piebald stuff. And Piebald, I got to give the shout out. We just signed with Iodine Recordings,
Nice.
who has been doing like really amazing things, especially with some of these throwback bands that we all love so much, and potential like anything new. Piebald's been working on songs for years, so I'm sure there will be some new stuff that they're gonna help us with. So very exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excited for this. Wow, we're at the 1 hour mark.
Did I answer all of the things that you needed me to?
Yeah, everything. So I guess we'll wrap it up, right? Anything else you want to say, Dana?
Thanks for having me. Your show is rad. You're all rad. Even those folks there behind the scenes, Fabio and Clay. What up? Shout out.
Hey.
This is cool.
I love your shout outs. That's like the best. We got to start doing that now in the podcast.
I feel like that's a Boston
Boston
thing.
thing.
Always just like, yo, let me shout out my mom and dad, dog. No.
Kelly's roast beef.
Kelly's roast beef.
They're opening a Kelly's. They're opening a Kelly's in Worcester.
I heard that.
I didn't know. It's like 4 seconds from my house, and I drove by where it's going to be, and I was like, "What the? Fuck?
What is it on Gold Star
it
Boulevard, dude? I knew it.
Yeah,
I used to run the Panera
building
there.
a bunch of fucking like strip mall things there now, and there's a Kelly's going in, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Everything just became really Boston all of a sudden.
Well, no.
From the accents to the locations.
Amazing.
Well, Fabio can really relate to Dana because Fabio was in charge of many Dunkin' Donuts until they sold the franchise.
Yo, Dunkin' Donuts, kid.
I was in the Dunkin' Donuts world. We had some Dunkin' franchises under our belts. And then, so when you mentioned the Panera franchise, I was like, oh, he might know some stuff.
I know some stuff and things.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. More than I would like to.
Same.
But to answer your question, could I do like a quick official plug on the podcast?
Yeah. Yes.
So 2 week notice podcast. I interview a lot of bands that we've been talking about in the scene. I've had people that we've mentioned, such as like Cyrus Beluki from Newfound Glory. I've had Max Bemis, Chris Caraba. Who else have I had? Nick Ham from Citizen, Jim Ward, Vinny Caruana. I've had people from Microwave, Ascenders from the early November, Matt Pryor, Brian Sella of the Front Bottoms. The list goes on and on. So thank you for wanting to talk to me. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just a truck driver, So I
don't say just, because
No.
without what's in that truck and without you, that show can't happen. It's all part of the thing. So
hey, I'm part of it.
Yeah, you're part of it. We're part of it.
I hate when people say that to me.
There we go.
I hate it. When people come up to the merch table, hey, you're part of it. I'm like, shut up. You're the sixth person to say that today.
New
At the worst
podcast,
possible time from 6 to 12.
No, here we go. Yeah, no. New podcast, part of it.
Oh, no, you stop that right now. No, but shout out Piebald. And thank you so much for having me. You're all really rad. And I love your show. Keep doing it.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, this wraps up another edition of Stub Stories. If you have any ideas, just reach out to us at info@stubstories.net.
Smash that like button, which I don't think I've ever said smash before, but
yes, you have,
smash that like button, subscribe, follow, share, all the stuff, every channel.
Do all the things. Thanks for listening. And what do we say? If it sucks, we're sorry. We tried. Maybe we didn't. I don't know.
I'm sorry too, if it sucks.
Everyone's so sorry.
Okay. Bye.
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 That was great. Stubstories.net. Hi, this is Sylvia.
And I'm Ricky, and we are Stub Stories.
Please follow us everywhere you listen to podcasts.
You can find us on every social media channel. Make sure you're following our YouTube, subscribe.
And check out our website, stubstories.net. That's it.